This program is brought to you by the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii, a nonprofit organization dedicated to sharing with the community the many benefits of a vegetarian diet. 3 monthly meetings include vegetarian experts found locally and on the mainland, quick and easy cooking demonstrations, and healthful and delicious food samples. Members enjoy an informative quarterly newsletter, social activities, and discounts at many vegetarian-friendly restaurants and health food stores. For an application, call 944-8344. That's 944-8344. Or visit our website at www.vsh.org. vsh.org.
I'm Dr. John Westerdahl. I'm the director of Lifestyle Medicine and also Wellness and the Nutritional Services Department at Castle Medical Center. And we'd like to welcome you to another in our series of classes that are Veggie Life Vegetarian Cuisine cooking classes that we generally have every month here at our health center here. And then in future we'll be doing classes at our other program center over at the hospital. In addition to being the nutrition director and the wellness lifestyle medicine director at Castle Medical Center, I'm also the nutritionist for Millennium Restaurant in San Francisco and the co-author of this book, the Millennium Cookbook. And you had one of the things as you came in, the Millennium Tofu Spread. How'd you like that? Isn't that good? Every time you go to Millennium Restaurant in San Francisco, you're greeted with that recipe. Now we're focusing our class tonight on heart disease and heart disease prevention and also reversal, because this is National Heart Month. And studies show that getting on a healthy, low-fat vegetarian diet, and that not only can you prevent heart disease, but you can actually reverse the condition. And we have some guests I'd like to introduce that will also be cooking along with me today. First of all, I'd like to introduce Vesanto Melina. Where's Vesanto?
I was in here.
Oh, come over. Okay. There we go. Now, Vesanto is coming to us from Canada. And she is one of the world-renowned nutritionists and dietitians promoting vegetarian nutrition. She's written some wonderful books. This one is really a Bible when it comes to becoming a vegetarian, Becoming Vegetarian, that she co-authored with 2 other dietitians from Canada. And then, building on that book, she wrote a book called Becoming Vegan. And that is a book all about going on a total plant-based diet that she wrote. A lot of great information on that. And has written a great cookbook called Cooking Vegetarian. Boy, she's written a lot of books here. And her newest book, Healthy Eating for Life, to Prevent and Treat Cancer. And this is an outstanding book as well. Vesanto has also been the nutritionist. Have you ever seen Eve's Vegetarian Food Products? She's the nutritionist for that company. She's done a lot of other work. She is also the nutritionist for Dr. Dean Ornish's heart disease reversal program, the retreats that he has had in the past. Our other guest I'd like to introduce to you, come up, Neal, Dr. Neal Pinckney. Dr. Pinckney is the founder and director of the Healing Heart Foundation and has written this book, Healthy Heart Handbook. And Dr. Pinckney also served on the professional staff of Dr. Dean Ornish's heart disease reversal program. And is a real tremendous individual. He does a lot of great things and teaches heart disease reversal workshops and also support groups, and has done a lot of things over the years. Dr. Dean Ornish is one of the pioneers in preventive medicine and heart disease reversal. He actually pioneered studies that came out in the medical literature to show that you can actually reverse the process of atherosclerosis by going on a healthy lifestyle, which includes a very low-fat vegetarian diet, exercise, stress management, avoiding tobacco, and just healthy living habits. And Vesanto is going to explain to you what the principles of the heart disease reversal diet are all about. Vesanto?
Thank you, John. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. So with the heart disease reversal program, which is the focus of our food tonight, people were very careful when they wanted to actually reverse the arterial plaque. to eat a very low-fat diet. And I don't know if you know this, but even lettuce has 10% of its calories from fat. Lettuce. I mean, lettuce doesn't have many calories, but 10% of the calories are from very healthy plant oils. So when you have a diet, that is 10 to 15% of the calories from fat, you're just eating regular plant foods, the healthy whole foods. And that is what a low-fat diet is. So you eat plenty of vegetables, you eat fruit. Fruit is about 5% calories from fat. You wouldn't think there was any fat in fruit, would you? But there's a little tiny bit. And grains are a little higher, and legumes. So all in all, if you just put together a diet that has the different plant foods, the grains, the legumes, the fruits, the vegetables, you'll end up with a diet that is about 10% calories from fat. And that's the kind of food we're showing you tonight. It can be absolutely delicious. One of the other neat things about the Ornish program, which was at the Claremont Hotel in Berkeley, was that the food was divine. It was really good. And people paid $5,000 to come for a week and learned how to go through this program, which would actually change their arteries, would actually convert them back to the healthy state they've started out in, or moving in that direction. And so you're going to be learning in this food experience tonight, both how to make these foods and to get an experience of tasting them. Along with the healthy, low-fat foods, people exercised, and that involved walking about half an hour a day or doing some kind of moderate exercise. It didn't mean you had to run up mountains or do marathons, but it was regular, sustained exercise, and it happened every day. The other thing that people did was not smoke, and they had wonderful support. Like they increased their communication and caring and developed group support, made sure they had a network of people that loved them and cared about them, or increased their communications. And also did things like yoga, stress reduction, whatever kind of stress reduction works for people. Anyway, that was the basis of the program. So it was lifestyle changes, and as you know, from Dean Ornish being on the cover of Time magazine, it really worked. So that about 95% of the people actually had their arteries notably decrease, the plaque decreased. For people on a regular diet, this food is also wonderful. It's excellent. It's healthy. You don't need quite such a low-fat pattern, and particularly from children, you need more fat. But this is an excellent one for reversing chronic diseases. Now I'm going to move back behind here. And everybody can see there? All right. So we're going to do a number of recipes tonight pretty quickly, and you have a wonderful handout collection here. We're going to do the first one, the black bean hummus. And the reason that I have a couple of dips and spreads tonight is that sometimes people think, now what am I going to put on my bread or toast? Okay, butter, cholesterol, margarine, trans fatty acids, and kind of useless fat. What about putting something that is actually healthy and packed with good nutrition? And spreads also can be very low in fat. So that's what we're going to have one tonight. It has minerals in it. It's made from black beans. And it also is very low in fat. These actually have calcium in them and plenty of trace minerals. So if you look at your handout tonight, it has, first of all, a little description that it's a protein powerhouse. Good thing to have in the fridge. You come back from a day, you're hungry, you need some quick protein. It's right there at the front of your fridge. And you can put vegetables, just scoop them in, or you put it on a cracker, spread it on a bit of bread. And so the few descriptions here. Now the things we're going to put in is the black beans, a little bit of the liquid from the black bean from the can, some lemon juice, which I've already measured out, and tamari or soy sauce, or in this case we're using Bragg's. Either of these would work. And we have a clove of garlic, some cumin. Now this is the most widely used spice in the world. It's wonderful. I don't know if you've made friends with cumin yet, but do. It's used in Asian cooking, in Middle Eastern cooking. And then the last thing is a bit of parsley. So all we do, this is easy. I'll tell you, I like really easy recipes that just take a few minutes. And this is a real favorite. And another thing is, this is not only good for older people. When my daughter was a teenager, she was vegetarian before I was, but she became anemic for a little while. But then she learned how to make hummus, and our problems with iron deficiency were solved forever because it's a great source of iron and protein too. So all we do is put it in the food processor, and we just drain these a little bit ahead of time. And if you don't have a food processor, you can use a blender. But it's actually a good idea to get a food processor because you might use it fairly often. If you make it in a blender, you have to make it thinner or else you'll burn out your motor when it's chugging around that very thick item. Then we put in the liquid and the lemon juice. And we put our Bragg's in, which was a tablespoon. Bragg's is, it's a soy product, and it's called liquid aminos. It tastes very much like soy sauce. And I think we can put some of the ingredients after if you wanted to see something. Now, these are available at health food stores, at Down to Earth, places like that. But they're pretty common. I mean, you'll find Tamar your Bragg's in major supermarkets now. And the products that we have, like in the Cooking Vegetarian book, the ingredients are very widely available. It's not some strange thing that you have to send away for a mail order. Difficult. And then we put the cumin. And it is great fun to learn more about spices and herbs. It can really make a big difference. Cumin, we're putting half a teaspoon and a pinch of cayenne. You can have a big pinch or a little pinch, whichever kind of pinch you like. And then you put the lid on this. With a food processor, you have to kind of line it up. It clicks, and then I'll make a noise. Now, you know hummus from a Greek store. It can be very oily, right? You've seen that? But have you ever tried Greek hummus? It has tahini in it, and it has a lot of olive oil. It can be even swimming in olive oil. But this one has no oil at all. And so you can make a hummus like this one that has lots of flavor. We're also putting in the parsley, the last thing. And it's just put in for a couple of seconds, just to mix it in. We don't want to blend it so it's totally pulverized. We just want to distribute it. And voila! There's our recipe. So it's a very good spread for breads and all kinds of fresh baked breads and just to have as a dip. Now tonight, the other thing I'll mention just while we're at this section, because it isn't really a recipe that we're making, and I'll come out here to do it, is to recognize that, you know how we used to think carrot sticks are great raw veggie, right? Well, look at the colors here. I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to tilt it up a little bit. There are so many beautiful, beautiful vegetables that you can cut up. And these are a good thing to dip. So if you're ever hungry, you like to sit and watch TV, you want something that will give you some protein and tastes good and has a bit of crunch, have something like this black bean hummus and some raw veggies. And you can sit there and munch through a couple TV programs and not put on a whole lot of weight. So it's wonderful. These are some of the other ones. Now I'm getting ready for our next presenter, which is John Westerdahl.
Okay, the next recipe we're going to do, if you can find the recipe, is the Millennium Tofu Spread, the one that you had when you came in. And just to elaborate again, Millennium Restaurant is a gourmet, vegan, vegetarian restaurant in San Francisco. And I'm the nutritionist there, and we serve this every day instead of butter for your bread. And it's a very healthy recipe. Now, with crackers or with bread, it's a wonderful dip. It has a lot of potential for many things. Now, Vesanto wanted to mention something.
I just forgot to put the garlic in. Do it.
Sometimes that happens, when you're doing cooking demonstrations in front of everybody. I've done that before, and I forgot major ingredients.
I know. That's it. Thanks.
Okay, now we're going to do the Millennium Mixed Grain Pilaf. Turn to that recipe. This is a multi-grain rice pilaf. And one of the great things about this recipe, we're trying to show people how to use different types of grains. A lot of people just use the same old rice or just wheat, but we're going to use different types of rices in here and different types of grains. The first thing we do is we take an onion, which is finely chopped, and we've done this ahead of time to speed up. 1 carrot that's been finely diced, and then 2 celery stalks. And you can use the Shintani vegetable broth. And by the way, how many of you are familiar with Dr. Shintani and his work that he's done? To be honest, that vegetable broth is a great vegetable broth that you can use in place of like regular chicken broth. Soften these vegetables for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to get into our rices. In fact, my wife's going to pass this out. We've got wild rice, a cup of wild rice. We have Wihani rice. You can use red rice or Wihani rice. That's a different type of unique rice. And we're going to pass this out so you can take a look at all of them. It has a reddish color. And we have brown basmati rice. A lot of the rice that you get in the restaurants is refined white basmati rice. And this is all whole grain. So it's very good. More fiber, more nutrition, more flavor. We have, we're going to add some rye berries to it. Another grain. And then we're going to add some red wheat berries and some barley. By the way, this is a real-to-life kitchen because we even have children in the kitchen. That's my daughter, Jasmine. She's been a vegetarian all her life, 3 years old. Never had milk or eggs or anything. Now, by the way, the grains have a lot of good nutrients. Most Americans do not get enough whole grains in their diet. Grains are high in fiber. They contain protein. The problem with carbohydrates is that most of the grains people eat today are the refined. Actually, a high carbohydrate diet is a healthy diet. You hear people saying negative things about carbohydrate diets. Well, they're wrong. High carbohydrates are very good, but you want the right type of carbohydrates, and the best are using whole grains instead of the refined starches. So don't get... by the way, Dr. Shintani has a new book out. Just came out. I recommend. It's called The Good Carbohydrate Revolution. It's going to be in all the bookstores. I have it right now. Okay, so we're still working on this to soften this. And then I'm going to add to this the sage, thyme. These are dried herbs, sage. So we add thyme, marjoram, some pepper, get a little spice to it. You don't have to add pepper if you're trying to avoid, some people are avoiding pepper, but it does add a little spice to it. And this is what is used at Millennium Restaurant. So we'll stir that in so it's well mixed. Okay, now we're going to add the grains to this. This is a great pilaf dish that you can use. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to use this and put this as a bed for the dish that Dr. Pinckney is going to serve. You can pour on top of it, the mushroom dish. Now, some of the pilaf dishes, they add a lot of butter and other high-fat things, and we're not adding any really added fats to this. So this is a very low-fat dish. In fact, only 8% of the calories come from fat, 2 grams of fat per serving. So it's just the natural fat that you find in the grains themselves. Okay, to that I'm going to add Dijon mustard. This is the old-fashioned, natural Dijon mustard. And I'm going to add some Bragg's liquid aminos. You can add Tamarai soy sauce. I'm adding the Bragg's liquid aminos. Patricia Bragg is a very good friend of mine. We have her speak for some of our classes at Castle. She and her dad, Paul Bragg, are real health pioneers and have come out with this Bragg liquid aminos, which is a really great product for cooking and using in place of salt in a lot of dishes. Okay, to this, we're going to add our vegetable broth, 4 cups of vegetable broth. And we're going to try to, you want to bring this to a boil. Once it's at boil, then you reduce the heat to medium-low. You let it simmer for 35 minutes. We're not going to say over 35 minutes, don't worry. You do that until all the liquid is absorbed, and then you have your rice pilaf. You can remove and let it cool for, let it sit for about 10 minutes. Okay, that's our first recipe. Okay, let's turn over to our next recipe. And that's going to be the Millennium Fruit Crisp. So we're going to skip to our dessert. This is a real low-fat dessert. It's really delicious. And this is actually going to be 3 recipes in one. Now, the first thing we're going to do is make the oat topping that goes on top of the fruit crisp. Take a small bowl, and we have 2 cups of oats. First of all, before you do this, you want to preheat your oven for 350. We add 2 cups of oats. Now, oats are a very rich source of soluble fiber. Now, that's very important for your heart health because soluble fiber actually helps in binding cholesterol in the digestive tract, intestinal tract, so it is not reabsorbed to raise your cholesterol. So there's been a number of studies. Dr. James Anderson at the University of Kentucky has shown just by including oats in your diet every day that it can significantly reduce your cholesterol, and which reduces your risk of heart disease. Now we're going to also add 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. That's optional. Some people don't like cinnamon, but I like it definitely. It tastes real good. And then we're going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of sea salt. At Millennium Restaurant, we use only natural sea salt in our cooking. And then we're going to add our maple syrup. This is, by the way, not the regular maple syrup that you buy. This has it's a pure natural maple syrup. You know, a lot of the maple syrups that you get at the grocery store are only like 10% real maple syrup. The rest is corn syrup or sugar syrup. And then they add caramel coloring to it to make it look like it's maple and artificial flavoring. So this is the real maple syrup, and we like to use the organic maple syrup too. Vesanto is from Canada. Anything you want to say about maple syrup? Natural maple syrup?
It's good, eh?
Yeah. It sure is.
It is. It's a wonderful sweetener. People look for a good coffee sweetener.
Now, there's different grades of maple syrup. There's A and B. This is grade A. What
well, it seems like the B and C have the most flavor. Actually,
yeah.
They're darker. So.
Actually, B is more flavor, and it's cheaper than the grade A. Normally, at Millennium, we use the B type. Okay.
That Millennium Cookbook is so gorgeous.
Oh, thank
I
you.
really appreciated those recipes.
Now, what I'm going to do is you take your dish here, and we're going to spread this out. This is a baking dish, and I have parchment paper on here. You know, sometimes people will grease the baking dish. You have all that fat. So we're going to use parchment paper and spread that out here. And we'll bake that in the oven. Now we're going to go to the filling part of the dish. We're going to take a big bowl here. In the large bowl, we're going to combine. Actually, what we've done here is we have a variety of different types of berries. We have got blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. We have cut up Fuji apples. You can use any type of fruit that's in season. If you want to make an apple crisp, of course you want to do all apples, but if you like to have different berries, which we do because it has more color. One thing about berries that's good, all these bright red colors and all that are rich in phytochemicals that, like blueberries, for instance, are very potent antioxidants. The type of compounds you find in the blueberries that may prevent heart disease as well as cancer. So we have the large bowl. We combine the fruit berries. Then we're going to add our cinnamon. With the cinnamon, we have nutmeg. We have maple syrup again, 100% natural maple syrup, 3/4 cup of maple syrup. And then we have ginger. This actually adds a lot of nice flavor to this dish, the ginger. Then in addition to the ginger, we have some fresh squeezed lemon juice, 1/4 cup lemon juice. We're going to mix this together. This is the healthiest dessert that we have at Millennium. The whole recipe for this is only 6% of the calories is fat. We're going to take 1/3 of the fruit mixture and we're going to blend it up. By the way, this is a Vitamix blender. It's a great juicer as well. And to that, it says arrowroot starch. You can use arrowroot or cornstarch. Actually, tonight I'm using cornstarch because I couldn't find any arrowroot. But they both will work.
Arrowroot's a bit clearer, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's why people use it.
It's a bit clearer, but it's harder to find, so you can't always have it. Down to Earth usually has it, but it wasn't available. We're going to blend this up. Or make sure you turn it off when you have the lid. If you don't have the lid on. I've learned from experience about that.
A little difficult to get off the ceiling, yeah, John?
Is it up there?
No.
No, but yeah, and all over you.
Yeah. Make carrot juice, it really goes. So we're blending that together, combining that mixture together. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to pour this mixture into this. Now, one of the things we had a little problem was it was a little watery. Normally, this holds up better. Because berries can't get them all fresh right now, we're using frozen unsweetened berries. And there's a little juice in there. We're going to put it in the oven for 35 minutes. And we'll bake that for 35 minutes. What we do is we're going to bake that, and we're finished with that. We put the oat topping on top of that. And I'm going to make that right now. Let's turn over to the next page over there, and it says vanilla sauce. This is very easy to make. And this, by the way, this vanilla sauce is a great sauce to put on your desserts. It's relatively low fat, no cholesterol, instead of some of the rich sauces that people use with the rich creams. You get the extra silken tofu in these containers. It's in this type of container. You can get it in just about every grocery store. Of course, Down to Earth Natural Foods has that as well. So we're going to put one container of this. When they make this, they actually it's produced right in this container. They don't make it and then put the container in. It's actually made right in the container. Silken tofu, as the name implies, it's a little more silky. And it makes a nicer, creamier texture for this type of thing. And for desserts, it's really good for that. We're going to put 3/4 cup of soy milk. We're using Soy Dream is the brand of soy milk that we use in this. For the sweetener, we're using fructose, which is the similar type of sugar that you find in fruit. And so we're using fructose instead of sucrose, so 1/3 of a cup of that. So what Doris is doing here, we have a fresh vanilla bean that we're cutting, and we'll take out the seeds and put that in that. I added some vanilla extract as well to that. And we're going to add a little pinch of salt, to that. Vanilla bean. You buy it at the grocery store or the health food store. It's a real vanilla bean that you just scrape off the inside and add that to it. It adds some really great flavor, much better than we're adding some extract too, but it makes a big difference in the flavor. So we'll scrape that in there. And then we're just going to blend this. Okay, and you have a really nice creamy sauce in there. And what we use is we use one of these bottles that you just put it in there, you just kind of drizzle it on the top of the dessert. As you'll see, we'll do a little bit later. Okay, now Dr. Pinckney. By the way, as he's setting up, I just want to acquaint you with our magazine, Veggie Life magazine. The reason we call this the Veggie Life Vegetarian Cuisine Cooking Class is that Veggie Life magazine is one of our co-sponsors of the program. I happen to be the nutrition editor for this magazine, so I have a regular column in here. And by the way, in this issue, both Vesanto and I have an article in here to take a look at.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Everybody hear me okay? I can't hear. I'm deaf, so you tell me if you can hear or not.
Yes.
I have to start out by saying, you know I'm Neal Pinckney, but I'm not supposed to be here tonight because 8.5 years ago, they told me that if I didn't get a bypass very, very soon, within a week or so, I'd be dead. 2 of the 4 doctors that told me that are dead. And I laugh about it. It doesn't bother me a bit. I feel sorry for their family, but, Anyway, I'm here because I had very serious heart disease, 100% blockage in my right main. They call that the widowmaker. But I knew I was okay because I wasn't married. And then I had 90 and 85% blockage in my left arteries. And so, they say I had one foot in a banana peel and the other in the grave. It was really kind of scary. And I changed. 8.5 years ago, I changed my lifestyle. I followed Dean Ornish's recommendations and Don McDougall's recommendations, which are a little more strict. And I haven't had anything to eat that had a mother or a father in 8.5 years. And I haven't eaten anything that has added oil or fat in 8.5 years. And I feel great. I feel fabulous. I walk 4 miles every morning before breakfast, 2 miles up a real steep hill and back down again. That's before breakfast. And I have a philosophy about cooking. If it takes longer to cook it than it takes to eat it, forget it. I mean, we don't have time to play Galloping Gourmet when you come home from a hard day's work and you've got other things you've got to do too. So these 2 recipes, one of them takes 5 minutes to cook the whole thing, and the other takes 5 minutes to prepare and let it simmer for 15 minutes while you go and answer your phone calls or whatever you have to do. So I'm going to start the first one out. It takes 5 minutes to prepare, and then while it's simmering, I'll do the other one, and then we're done, and that's it. And I don't know about you, but I'm hungry. I've been waiting a long time, so I'm going to get through this fast. If you go to your recipes, and by the way, all these recipes and 200 more are on the web, and 2 new recipes every month. I invent new recipes every month, and I put them on the website. That www.kumu.org. That's a portal for 3 websites. The Healing Heart website, a 250-page website, a discussion group on how to prevent and reverse heart disease by lifestyle, and my Labyrinth website. If you don't know what a labyrinth is, click it and take a look. It's a lot of fun. To start out, you can use water, you can use wine, you can use balsamic vinegar, you can use almost anything that you like to drink, and you can put it in. And this is what we're going to use because we don't use oil at all. I'm doing the Southwest Skillet Dinner.
Thank you.
The quick Southwest Skillet Dinner. Most of my recipes are simple. I have some recipes on the web that have 8 words for the entire direction on how to do it. We're going to start out, and we're going to put some onions in here. Onions. I chopped these up beforehand so you don't have to sit here and watch me cry. Some garlic. I like lots of garlic. Anyway, we put that in, and we put in, this is by the way, a recipe to do 2 of what's in the recipe. In other words, I'm doing a double one. And there's 2 green peppers, 2 onions, about 6 or 7 cloves of garlic. By the way, the garlic disappears. You don't have an aftertaste or an after smell or anything else from the garlic. It blends in very nicely. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, no, don't do things like that. But we're going to put some chili pepper in. We put a couple of tablespoons per each thing. This is not chili pepper. This is chili powder. Chili powder has very little pepper in it. It's mostly oregano and a little bit of garlic and some cumin in it. And I'm going to put more in here. And you're going to eat it and you're going to say, there's no chili powder in there. What did he do? What happened to that? He must have been playing around. But not a lot of chili powder because it's not hot. I can't eat things that are very, very hot. And we're just going to mix it up and let it get nice and warm. And mix it around and let the green peppers get a little bit tender. Not completely, but just a little bit tender. And when they're tender, and we've got it in there, by the way, it's such a colorful. It's got green peppers, red kidney beans, golden corn, and the onions, and it's a very wonderful odor. It just fills the house with a lovely odor and looks good. And people who say, I won't eat it because it doesn't have meat, will never know it doesn't have meat. You can actually serve this, and you wouldn't, you can serve it to somebody who's a die-hard meat eater, and they'll usually, at least the ones I meet, say, oh, this is good. All right. And as soon as it's hot, we're going to add a couple of cans. I'm doing double recipe. Kidney beans. I use the bright red ones because they're more colorful, but they all taste the same. Whether you use dark ones, light ones, or anything. And if you don't like kidney beans, you can put garbanzo beans. You can put pinto beans. You can put azuki beans. You can put navy beans in it. It really doesn't matter. In fact, if you don't like beans, you can make it without the beans. It won't really hurt the recipe. It's very tolerant. Most of the recipe, now you can see it sizzling a little bit. You want to just get the green peppers just a little bit tender before we add the tomatoes, the corn, and the beans. If you don't like corn, don't put it in. This is a very tolerant recipe. You can add things and leave things out and to your taste. If you want it to be really, really, really like it's meat, like it has hamburger in it, get some TVP, textured vegetable protein. You can find it at almost any health food store. It's only about 2% fat. And it tastes just like hamburger meat when you put it in here. Take a cup of the TVP dry and pour a cup of hot water, really hot, boiling or close to boiling water on it. Let it sit for about 5 minutes and then just dump it in here. And it tastes just like you got a hamburger meat in it.
What'd you call that?
TVP, textured vegetable protein, made out of defatted soybeans. Okay, now we're going to add some kidney beans. Oops, I got to drain the kidney beans. There's a rumor, by the way, that the water or the liquid that comes with beans has the gas in it. You want to drain this one? And here's some chopped stewed tomatoes. We keep the tomato juice in there. There's nothing wrong with the juice in there. And thank you very much. And we pop that in there, and we mix it all around a little bit. We'll probably add some more chili in a minute. Now, it looks kind of pretty. It's got the green and the red and the tomatoes and the beans. But if you like corn, and I love corn, just take some good old frozen corn. You can use niblets. Niblets works great in here from the can. You can use fresh corn on the cob and pull it off the cob, or you can just take some frozen corn and you can go and put in 1 cup. I'm not as bad as Julia Child, who picks up the spaghetti off the floor and still keeps cooking. And we mix it around, and you can see this, how colorful, how pretty it is. Now we're going to let this simmer for about 15 minutes. So I'm going to taste it and find out whether it needs more chili pepper or not. Not chili pepper, chili powder. This is not a hot dish. Friends of mine who can't tolerate anything hot, they don't like anything. They can't even put black pepper on things. Tell me that this is not a hot dish. Thank you. Yeah, great. Here, you can keep that one. Now, the only way to find out if it's got enough in it, we'll leave it like that. We're going to let this cook for a while. Now we're going to do the 5-minute back. That's all it took. It just simmers for 5 minutes to bring out the flavor. And that's all it is. And you serve it over rice, over pasta. What I'm going to serve it on today is whole wheat penne pasta. Now, you know why you use whole wheat pasta instead of white pasta? Because all the grain, all the nutrition is in whole wheat. If you use white pasta, like white rice or white bread, you lose all of the, not all, but most of the good things in it. The fiber, the germ, all the good nutrition that's in the grain is taken out. There's no point to do that. The fiber is what keeps you regular, helps filter out cholesterol, and makes you feel better, too. And if you're worried about losing weight, that's great, because fiber fills you up a little bit more and makes you feel a little bit more full than the grains that don't have the fiber, so you don't have to eat as much. This is imitation chicken broth. There's lots of different brands of it. I'm using the same one. This one is Dr. Shintani's cuisine. But there's lots of different brands. You can get it in bulk in the health food store. Some of them are very high salt. You have to be careful. They're really high sodium. I'm doing the 5-minute bok choy. That's only 2 I'm doing tonight. This one is cooking. By the time I finish the other one, this will be ready to eat. You can pour it over pasta or rice or over baked potato. All kinds of things. By the way, you can freeze any of these dishes, cook a great big pile of them. I do it all the time. And I freeze them in sandwich baggies and seal them up, lay them on their sides so they dry. And then my refrigerator, I should show you a picture. My freezer looks like a library shelf because it's got all these things. But I label what they are and when I did it, so I know what I've got. Now, this is just chicken broth, imitation chicken broth. That's a relatively low sodium one. It doesn't matter if I took it out of this one. You're not going to tell on me, are you? The bok choy recipe, we'll put in some green onions. Ginger. Great stuff, ginger.
Yes.
Lots of ginger. I like a lot of ginger. Some people don't. I had some garlic here, but I don't know what happened to it. The garlic was here. Oh, great. Now, by that much, now I'll just chop it up. By the time we get the food processor, it'll all be stuck on the edge. Actually, the garlic will cook out pretty well. I use a lot more garlic than that, actually. And then here's the bok choy. Oh, and 2 kinds of mushrooms. I've taken some dried shiitake mushrooms and rehydrated them. Just put them in a little water until they get nice and soft. And a can of button mushrooms, or strong mushrooms. You can put porcini mushrooms. You can put any kind of mushrooms you like in here. And in fact, if you go to the North Shore, you can put some magic mushrooms in there. I'm going to turn this one down. All it needs to do is simmer. We don't really need to cook this one ferociously like it is now. These are my own pans. They're Teflon, or non-stick pans. I never have to use any oil. I cook anything. I can make anything at all, and nothing sticks to the pan, which is really nice. We've got everything in there, and we're going to let it heat up a little bit. And as soon as it's heated up, we'll add a little bit of cornstarch that we mixed in some cold water and make a little paste out of. And we'll put it in there, and that's it. And it's ready to eat as soon as the cornstarch gums it up. Now, this is great over plain brown rice. It's great over noodles. It's great over, it depends, rice noodles. It's great, long rice kind of thing. Now, if you want to make this taste like seafood, just stick some wakame or some hijiki in it, and it'll wind up having just like you had some, some, especially like shellfish in it. It's a wonderful aroma of shellfish, and you get that little bit of a taste of it. If you want it to taste like it has meat, you can use wheat gluten, which is an artificial meat made from the protein from wheat, or you can use that TVP. TVP comes both in little granules like hamburger meat, and it comes in little chunks like chicken or beef or pork or whatever you want. And so you could actually put seitan in here, wheat gluten, which is also called seitan, and put it in there, and it would taste like you had meat in it if you wanted to. When I first went into the vegetarian thing, I was so used to meat that I used a lot of these imitation meats. I mean, it kind of like it wasn't a meal if it didn't have meat in it. Now I don't bother with it because the veggies. By the way, this makes a wonderful main course over rice. And if you want the meat added, if you're married to somebody or living with somebody that says I got to have meat, you can put the imitation meat in it, and they'll never know the difference. Or you can make it like this, pour half of it into another pot, and put the meat in that, and let them kill themselves. And you can have yours nice and healthy.
Good smell.
This one, I think, is this one.
Yeah.
John, I think your pilaf may be done. You want to check it?
Okay. By the way, this is what the dessert looks like.
Oh, hey, that looks great. Now, we're going to taste this one again. Just right. Just right. Perfect. Forgot to put the bok choy. Now, this recipe calls to steam the bok choy in the microwave for a couple of minutes. You can see it in there. But the microwave died this morning. And we don't have a big steamer here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour the bok choy in here. And the bok choy kind of disappears, when it gets warm and liquid. It kind of shrinks up. So it takes a lot of bok choy.
By the way, the calcium, I don't know if you mentioned about calcium.
I didn't mention it.
The calcium in bok choy is more bioavailable. That means you absorb it better and bioavailable to the body than even milk, cow's milk. So this is one of the richest sources and most bioavailable sources of calcium of any food. Very healthy. So you don't have to get your calcium from milk. That's one of the things all of us, Dr. Pinckney and Vesanto and myself, really advocate a vegan vegetarian diet is the optimal way to go. And even getting away from a lot of the dairy products. There's a lot of problems with that. They're high in cholesterol, they're high in fat. We don't know what happens with the hormones that the cows are given, some of the other health safety issues regarding cow's milk. So we think it's much better to get your calcium from green leafy vegetables like bok choy, and tofu has calcium in it too.
I agree. And John, when I filled up a handkerchief every morning, I'm 66. Every morning for 58 years of my life. 8 years ago, I became vegan. No dairy, no eggs, no cheese. I was a cheeseaholic. Within 3 weeks after stopping dairy, my allergies went away. I mean, at 58 years of it, and all of a sudden, and every allergist in the world were giving me shots and tests and little bumps on my arms, and they told me, don't eat chocolate, don't eat this, don't eat. What it was dairy.
It used to be, talking about heart disease and diet, it used to be that red meat was the highest source of artery-clogging saturated fat in the American diet. Americans are getting better, so they cut down on red meat. But you know what the highest source of saturated fat in the American diet is today? Did you hear about it? Cheese. We're eating way too much cheese, so we've got to get off those dairy fats so they don't plug up your arteries. Okay.
Did you notice that all that bok choy is kind of just gone in there? It just kind of disappeared in there. Now, all we have to do to this dish now, it's just getting hot enough, you can see the steam, is to mix in, this is just plain old cornstarch. You can use other starches. Cornstarch works very well with this kind of a dish, but you can use arrowroot or other kinds of starches if you have any kind of allergy to cornstarch. As soon as we mix this in here, if it's hot enough, it'll start to thicken up. And we'll have what we want. And as soon as we've done that, it's ready to eat. That's cooked. That's ready to eat. Well, oil is oil. You hear olive oil is good for you, or canola oil is good, or flaxseed oil is good for you. Actually, olive oil or canola oil or safflower oil are all a whole lot better for you than butter, or most margarines that are hydrogenated to make them like butter, or coconut oil, which is almost entirely saturated. But so it's better for you than other things, but not better for you, period. That's the main message. So if you want to stay healthy and you want to reverse or prevent heart disease, it's better to be very careful about the oil that you use. And if you don't have heart disease and you don't have a family history, a little bit of oil is not going to hurt you at all. But I don't eat avocados, I don't eat olives, because they're very high fat.
All right, I know you're going to feel really good about me doing my last recipe, because guess what comes next after that?
Anyone hungry?
So this one is number 2. And you will be very surprised to have a spread that is basically made out of roasted yams. Yeah, and it's extremely low fat. Of course, it's packed with antioxidants, all the carotenoids. Oh, thank you. Great. Boy, it's wonderful. Don't you wish when you're cooking at home you had all these people just popping in, you say, well, anyway, it's pretty good. Thank you so much. Okay, so what we're going to do here is pretty simple again. I like things healthy, delicious, and easy. Right, so here we go. We're just going to put the yams in, and these have been baked. You can either steam them or bake them. And I baked both the yams and also the garlic, which seems to have disappeared. Where is it?
I think
What?
he used it. I think he used it.
No, he didn't. Neal?
He chopped some.
They're all casting aspersions.
I'm in trouble. It's in there.
Well, if you want the true garlic flavor, have a little extra in this one.
Somebody handed it to me, and I thought
Isn't that funny? Okay, well that was superbly roasted garlic. It's supposed to go in here. Anyway, it'll still be good. That in, and a half teaspoon of oregano. I'll tell you one of the things, though, about cooking. When I started cooking vegetarian, I was not very confident as a cook. In fact, when I was cooking and people came over, I used to pretend I wasn't cooking so they wouldn't want to taste it, because I didn't have very much confidence. And now I do, and I've started to get more playful about it. So, I'll try this, try that, experiment a little bit, and I have more experience. And so if you're like that at all, please do, follow a recipe a few times, maybe rigidly, and then once you get your confidence, you can just put in all sorts of different things. So now we're just going to blend the yams. And instead of salt, I'm just going to put a little bit of Bragg's because we don't have the garlic in it. Now, do you notice how creamy this is already? It's a very, very simple recipe. Actually, the one that you taste does have garlic in it, because that one was done before somebody made off with the garlic. It did have. Now, the two things that I'm going to tell you are about containers. So one is, if you want to keep your veggies fresh, say you cut up a lot of salad or raw veggies or something and keep them fresh. If you get this sort of container that has a very tight lid and will burp, you push it down, it burps, that will keep it fresh for 4 to 5 days. And so you can eat lots of raw veggies that way because they're washed and cut up and you've got yourself a big supply. It'll last for quite a while. It's a very welcome next step now. We're finished with that recipe.
So are we hungry?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to thank all of you for attending our Veggie Life Vegetarian Cuisine cooking class this evening. And we have these once a month through Castle Medical Center. If you're interested in more information, call Castle Medical Center at 263-5400 to register for the next class. So have a good evening.
This program is brought to you by the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii, a nonprofit organization dedicated to sharing with the community the many benefits of a vegetarian diet. 3 monthly meetings include vegetarian experts found locally and on the mainland, quick and easy cooking demonstrations, and healthful and delicious food samples. Members enjoy an informative quarterly newsletter, social activities, and discounts at many vegetarian-friendly restaurants and health food stores. For an application, call 944-8344. That's 944-8344. Or visit our website at www.vsh.org. vsh.org.